So you got a couple of reminders and
Yes, I do. So we are recording this session. This session will be on the Canvas course. So if you ever want to go back and reflect on any of our 7 sessions, maybe we talk about something interesting, go over a specific aspect of Google Education Workspace, you'll be able to go back and review that. And if you ever miss one of our sessions because of a conflict, you'll be able to go back and watch that as well, so you can still get your clock hours. And that is on our Canvas course, and we'll go over that. Some people haven't signed up to the Canvas course yet, so we'll make sure we go over that. So who we are. Darcy, you want to start out?
Hi, I'm Darcy Jameson, and I'm the Instructional Improvement Coordinator at ESD 105. And so I'm in the Yakima region, and that means I go everywhere from Goldendale, Bickleton area up to Easton and Cle Elum and over to Royal over on the east. So kind of wide range. I see a few familiar faces here from our agency, but I'm happy to be here.
And I'm Ethan. I'm in Spokane at ESD 112. So we're in the Northeast region. I'm the Learning Management Systems Coordinator. And so a lot of my work is with the LMS solutions, the RIN, the big summer courses, the Canvas courses. I work a lot with Darcy on some other projects, but I'm really excited. We're really excited to offer this. This is our first time offering this certification. And we most likely, depending on how this goes, are going to offer this again for another cohort. And we'll probably do a certification level 2, because there is a level 2 certification. So we're excited about kind of launching this. Our agenda for the day is as follows. We're going to go over some logistics right now, and then we're going to kind of dive into the course. We're going to look at the Unit 1 preview. If you haven't completed Unit 1, that's totally fine. You'll just need to complete Unit 1, 2, and 3 by next week. The units are not hard. They're very fun. They're very intuitive. You learn a lot through them. And they really take about, I would say, 45 minutes at max. And they give you a little time frame, but I just completed Unit 1 last week, and it only took me about 45 minutes to complete it. Darcy, you want to go over the goals of this cohort?
Yeah, I'm answering something in the chat real quick.
Gotcha.
And then I will, trying to manage both.
No problem here. So the goal of this cohort is to provide a structure to complete Google Fundamentals training. So that's a really important thing. Completing this does not mean you're Google certified. We are doing the certification fundamentals training, which will prepare you to take the exam, which will get you certified.
Absolutely. And this is something, this structure will hopefully help us kind of get a cohort of people to practice with, where we can ask questions and get answers and work through it together. I know I've gone through the fundamentals training multiple times. It's all free, but I've gone through it a couple different times. They update it every so often, but this is to hopefully give you the structure so that when you get done with this, that you're ready to take that test. We really want to make this so that all educators can practice the various components of Google Workspace for Education. So they've recently changed the name a little bit. It was Google Apps for Education. Now it's Google Workspace for Education. When I looked through the Canvas course, not everybody is a teacher in a classroom. So not everyone has access to, hey, I have both sides of Google Classroom. I don't have these pieces. This is where we can have places to practice with each other and say, hey, I need somebody to practice a Google Meets with, and throw a link in the chat and say, I need somebody to do this, please, and kind of give us that support, which is really nice to have. But for me, every time that I go through that certification practice course, I always learn something new. I always find a new tip or trick. And more than anything else, dive into those modules and practice it on something that is practical for your context. Make it work for you. If it says, okay, we're going to go over the things for Google Forms, practice creating a Google form that you will use. Practice creating a site that you might want to use in the future. Make it practical for you. So Through this, you can receive up to 22 STEM clock hours. These 7 sessions that we're going to be in together, these meetings, and they're optional. These meetings will provide 7 of those STEM hours. The other 15 of those hours are to work through the Google Fundamentals course, and I'm going to show you that here in a little bit. So for the total of that, that's 22 STEM hours. And then the test is after that, and that's optional. It's between a 2 and 3 hour test. That's what you'll want to add later, but you don't have to take the test to get the clock hours. But if you've got this structure and people to practice with, why not? Why not get that certification, put it on your email and say, I am a Google Level 1 certified educator, and get ready for the next piece. So I'm really happy you're here.
Yes, absolutely. And then again, these are live sessions. We will be recording. This is being recorded, and we will post the recording with closed captioning and all of that onto the Canvas course. And we're going to try to get it updated really, really quick. Since we're meeting every week, we'll try to get it updated hopefully over the weekend, and by Monday, this video will be live on the Canvas course. So we're going to start off with a little warm up. So we're just going to do a quick breakout room. Okay, so I'm going to do groups of 4. And I want you, if you need to, read these questions. You might want to write them down. That's the one thing about the breakout rooms. You can't keep this screen. So,
and I'll put them in the chat.
Perfect. So we're going to post them in the chat. You got a total of, perfect. I'm going to assign automatically, so these will be random. Once I create these rooms, you're just going to join. I'm going to give you about 9 minutes. And really what we want to get, because these are the questions that this Google Fundamentals training is, I mean, it's best practices. It's research aligned. So you're going to see a lot of really good asynchronous tools, goal setting, that kind of idea. And these are some of the questions that they prompt with. So I want us to think about, how has technology affected your life, just in general, right? Is it made it better? Has it made it worse? Has it been a combination of the two, right? I love the fact that I can order my Postmates when I'm sick, right? And get the food, but I hate the fact that I spend 5 hours looking at social media, right? That's so balancing those out. Identifying one way technology has saved you time, made you more efficient. And then what are other teachers doing with technology in the classroom that you'd like to try? So maybe something that you're doing or that you've tried to do, but really what's something that you've seen technology-wise that you say, hey, that's something that I want to go try out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create these rooms. I'm going to open them. And we'll be back here at 3:48. And Darcy, you are good. If you don't join yours, I think every group has 4. That's perfect.
Yeah, I didn't join.
Lisa, Melanie, let me know, or Janae or Lisa, let me know if you need any help getting into your breakout room.
Ethan, I'm going to answer an email and get someone set up on the back end.
Yep.
I see Kathy just came in. Can you assign her to a?
Yep. Hey, Kathy, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Kathy, can you hear me? Awesome. Hey, we're in breakout rooms right now for the next like 8 or so minutes. So I'm going to shoot you into a breakout room. We're answering these questions right here, just talking with our group. And so we're just trying to figure out, hey, what has technology been in our lives? What's going on? And then what's something we want to maybe try in our classroom or try, in our role in education. So I just assigned you to room 5, so you should be able to join it. Awesome. Thank you. Hi, Kelly. Oh. See, when I call them back in, I'll just have some participants share their answers to the questions. And then we'll
Yeah.
jump to yours.
Now I had a person that was asking me some questions in the background. I'm like, okay, I got to answer those, kind of where we are.
The background chat.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was sent private messaging me. So
Hey, Angel, how's it going?
Hi, sorry I'm late.
That's totally fine. This is recorded, so you can miss everything or rewatch everything that you missed. And it was just our introductions and
Oh, nice.
some basic stuff. I'm Ethan. This is Darcy. We'll be leading these 7 sessions. I'm going to go ahead and send you into room 2, and we're just discussing this question for another about 5 minutes. There's 3 questions. How's it affected our life? I think the big one that I want to hear is, what are some other teachers doing with technology in the classroom that you'd like to try? And you might not be a teacher, so it might be, hey, I am a assistant principal, or I'm a substitute, or I'm a paraeducator, but I've seen this cool thing done with technology with regards to education. I want to try it out.
Sure.
Awesome. So you should have got a little invite.
Yep.
Awesome.
do you want to pause the recording?
I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking, should I jump into a room? I can, if I pause the recording, does that make 2?
Nope, you can pause it, just don't stop it.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, welcome back. So can I get one brave soul? And I would love if you all maybe answered in the chat some stuff that came up during your breakout rooms of answers to any of these questions. But let me get one brave person unmute themselves and just go ahead and tell me, how has technology affected your life in 30 seconds or less? Keely, go ahead. You just smile. No, Samantha, go ahead. I saw you unmute yourself. I was going to do Keely. She was smiling, and Samantha.
I was just going to say, during COVID, it just was really convenient to be able to have your groceries delivered, things like that, right? How quickly Amazon can get you the things that you need. But then we also discussed in our breakout room how it could also be inconvenient now that everything is virtual. Like, you're in an important meeting and then your internet goes out, so it can work for you and it can also work against you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The amount of Zoom meetings that my computers just shut off, and I'm like, what's going on? What about, and that kind of answered the second one. So let's go to that third question. Someone unmute themselves and tell me something that they want to try out, something that they've seen, something that they're interested in, and they really want to try out. Go ahead, Alex.
I am trying to set up a program where I can reach my pregnant teen students. And so I'm the school nurse, and I have a high school that has a fair amount of either pregnant or they're now at home trying, postpartum. And so a way to still reach all of my teen parents and bring them together as a group, and then have like resources that I can get out to them as I see the needs.
Wow, you're doing important work. That's phenomenal. Thank you. Anyone else? Let's keep this going. 1 or 2 more people. Go ahead and unmute yourself and share what's something you want to try out. Thank you, Alex.
one thing that I've seen, my son's kindergarten teacher has this really wonderfully interactive, like Google Classroom space where, there's different areas where they can access YouTube videos, and there's areas where they can access books, and there's areas where they can interact with assignments, and it's phenomenal. Like all of it kind of combined together. I would love to be able to build something like that and have it be really effective.
Well, you're in the right place, because that's what we're going to learn. You're really going to find out how awesome Google is. Like you can really do some really dynamic and powerful things. So if no one else wants to share, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Darcy, and she's going to kind of talk about preparing and go live to site. So Darcy, you want to take it away?
All right. So as we go through, there's, and this slide deck will also be put in the Canvas course. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to access the fundamentals training course at the site that's linked in the Canvas course. And I'm also going to put that link right here in the chat. So when you do that, it's going to take you to a place, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. It's going to take you to a place called Skillshop. And when you go there, you're going to log in. You're going to want to make sure that you log in with your Google account that's tied to your district or your agency. That way you can get access to the materials that you need. So when you do that, you're going to log in and it'll bring you to the Teacher Center. And we're going to focus on the fundamentals training. And that's right here. All of this is free. One tip is that because while you're going through this, I would keep that fundamentals training bookmarked on your computer so that you can access it really quick. So when you go into that fundamentals training, once you set up your account, you'll click here and it'll walk you all the way through it. So Unit 1, and it'll tell you that how long each chunk will take, introductions, talking about the benefits of the digital classroom and 21st century work habits, getting familiar with the Google tools, and then they'll have a review quiz at the end for each one. As you go through, you can, if you're pretty familiar with Google, you can go ahead and click ahead, take the test, say I passed it. However, I'm pretty tech savvy and I go through each of these every time because there's always little pieces and bits that I learn that I pick up that I didn't get the first time. For example, I'm going to click right here. You can see all my check marks here. I've gone through that. Get familiar with Google tools for the classroom. And you'll see here that I've completed that activity. But as I go through here, here's some information about Google Classroom, Google Drive. And then you're going to have some cards. It's really easy to say, hey, I use Google Classroom. I know all about it. Click on the card anyway. You'll find more information out. Click on every card. Click on the videos. Click on the voice recordings. Take your time and actually listen to what they've got to say. I guarantee you, you will pick up tips and tricks that you may not have had before. And I am of the mindset that we are always learning. So this, you can see these published or updated January 12th, 2021. This is really pretty recent in how they've gone through and restructured this. So don't be afraid to go through it multiple times. You can go back and access it as much as you want throughout the entire training, before and after. This is not tied to the test itself. You can't retake the quizzes, but you can retake them as many times as you want to until you pass them, but it's not going to clear them out after you've passed it. But you can still access it and see the questions. So these are the training modules. So it'll tell you how long, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. 20 minutes is a generous time. This is a pretty generous time frame there. So this is where the majority of your independent work is going to be. So hopefully before next Thursday, you will have gone through 1, 2, and 3 on your own.
Nancy's raising her hand. You have a question, Nancy?
Yes. I was going in to sign up, and so I was on another screen, and I really have no idea where you're at, and I'm trying to find you. I'm in Google, and I really have no idea where you went from beyond signing up.
But you're still hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and are you seeing my screen or
I
no?
am seeing your screen, but I can't find those things, what you have. I'm on my Google account.
So well, go ahead. I mean, Darcy, I'm just going to post in the chat that link again. If you do look in the chat and click this link that she posted, I just reposted it. That will take you to this Skillshops catalog right where it's at. It will say student catalog, and you'll just come here and click, or I think you got to go down to Teacher Center, and then on the far left, you're clicking fundamentals training.
Okay, that's the one I missed, is what module you were in. So it's in fundamentals training.
Fundamentals training. That's the one that we're going to do. That's the only one that we are going to do right now.
Okay.
So within that fundamentals training,
Got it. Thank you.
There are different units.
I am caught up now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So that link is in the chat. It's also in our Canvas course. So if you have not signed up for the Canvas course, I believe I got everybody, those of you that hadn't accepted the invitation for the course, I think I manually registered you. So you might have gotten another email today. In the chat, Kathy, you're going to be doing the modules on your own time because we can't do all of that in this hour, but these are the hours that we're going to be asking and answering questions about the modules you did the weeks before. This is the email that you will get to sign in for this Canvas course. This is the Washington ESD coordinators Canvas instance. If you have another Canvas instance, if you have an ESD 105 or 112 or a Yakima School District Canvas, this is going to be different than the one that we've had before. If you've been doing the regional educator networks with me, I think that one, this is the same Canvas instance. So you'll see I have this icon. I bookmarked it right up here at the top of my screen as well. So when you get in there, you're going to go ahead and set up your account and go into your Canvas course, and you will see Google Educator Level 1 Cohort. That's what we're going to be working on. I have more courses here. This is what yours will look like. Trying to get to student view. So you will see each of these modules. So module 1, this just gives you the overview of how to engage in the course, how to claim your clock hours. If you haven't already, we'd love to have you do the roll call so we know where you are from, what's your position, those kind of things. I've added the Zoom link and contact information for all of the sessions. So here's the Zoom link. It's Ethan's Zoom link, and it's going to be the same one every time. Correct, Ethan? Awesome. And then I've also put both my email and Ethan's work emails on here as well as the Canvas emails. You can go through the Canvas or you can just email myself or Ethan directly if you have questions or just want to touch base and say, hey, am I doing this right? I've got a question, please help. So that's there. And you can just go through the Canvas course just by clicking next. So pre-work for session 1, if you didn't get it done, we're okay. Here's that link to go to that fundamentals training account. It's embedded right in the site. It'll tell you what we're going to do. Each session will have the recording posted after this. If you have questions as you're working through the modules, put them here. And then there will be questions after the modules. Pretty straightforward, not a lot of extra work besides the modules. The modules are the pieces that we're going to spend the most time on.
Real quick, Darcy, just hop in. When you're going through the fundamentals course, one of the things you'll see is like, the quiz at the end is multiple choice, machine scored and all of that. But if she goes to like the first one, or not the introduction, but the second module, there's open-ended questions where they respond with, hey, how would you use this in your classroom? And below you can read some other teachers' comments as well. So they have that aspect. We kind of want to take what they're doing there and bring it into the live session, as well as bring it to the Canvas course. So we want where those open-ended responses that you would put, that's the kind of conversations that we want to have here within the course, as well as on the Canvas.
And those provide a great practice opportunity for the test itself, because there are some scenarios that they have you work through in the test. And so those are some pieces that that's good practice. Hey, how might you do this? Take the time to think through that and think about how might I make this work in my context. So thanks, Ethan. That's really great. So the fundamentals training, you're going to go through here and you'll see that there are 13 modules. Don't try to do them all at once. Just go with steps, step by step. We're doing the structure. That's why we set up this course. And when you're going through that, just kind of keep in mind, okay, these are the things that I need to remember. Like I said, make sure to read and examine all the elements, look at the quiz. One thing to keep in mind, and please don't hesitate to reach out to Ethan or myself. There are some things that certain districts or agencies might have turned off. For example, my agency has contacts or groups turned off because they took control of that piece of it. So if there's something that you can't access through your work email, please let us know so that we can get another account so we can show you that. We want to make sure that you have access to that and you can see that as it works. But don't say, oh, I can't do this because we don't have access to Google Groups. That's okay.
Google Blog,
we'll make it work.
Blog is a very common one. The blog portion that they'll disable. So if you can't access that, you want to be able to access that.
Yeah, and chat is another common one that most districts have disabled. And so please do not hesitate to reach out to us, and we will find some workarounds. That's kind of a thing that we need to do as a case-by-case basis, because it's not the same as set up in every district. That being said, I'm going to pass it back over to Ethan so he can talk about, well, I want to pause here for questions about the certification, or not the certification, but the actual training modules. Are there questions about that before I have Ethan talk about the test itself? Okay, I'm seeing nothing in the chat. Please, again, don't hesitate to reach out. That's why we're here.
Nancy, do you have a question? I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I'm not actually doing this through my district because I'm not signed up with the Google Suite through Seattle Public Schools.
Okay.
I'm actually doing this just with my own personal logins. That wouldn't be a problem, would it?
That will not be a problem.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you will need to be logged into the Canvas course with your district.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay,
Yeah, I have that PD enroller, all of that Canvas link. So
perfect.
thank you.
So yeah, so that was actually a good segue, especially about the blog thing and getting access. So maybe your district prevented the chat or the blog. You can always access that with your personal email if you do have access to the education workspace. So just be cognizant of that. And the reason we say that is because the exam is different for everyone. It's not the same exam. And so what you're asked can be very, very unique. You might be given a scenario about Google Blogs and you've never used Google Blogs in your classroom or anything. So the knowledge needs to be fully encompassed. It's hosted on the Criterion platform, okay? It costs $10 to get the exam. You pay $10, you wait like 2 days, and then they send you a certification code. You go to the Criterion website and you use that code. The code is only valid for 8 days. So do not buy the exam today. Don't buy the exam today. We're not buying that yet. We'll wait till the last session. When you take the exam, you have to use the latest version of Google Chrome. You also have to be on a computer with a webcam because you have to have the webcam on because you're monitored throughout the exam. It's about a 2.5 hour exam, about 180 minutes. No one else can be present or interrupt you during the exam or you will be disqualified. You will
Speaking
not.
from experience.
Darcy has, yeah, speaking from, so phone is off, it's in another room, babies are away, Ollie will be outside, right, tied up. But yeah, so you just got to make sure you're totally clear and focused on that. You will actually sign an NDA to say you won't disclose any of the information on the test, so that you're not taking pictures of the test and sharing it or anything like that. And again, the test can be any aspect of the 13 units, and it's valid for 3 years, right? So this is level 1. There's also a level 2 you can get. So Google has done a really good job of making this test very, serious. It's very, very serious. So again, we'll wait until the last week to really dive into that, get us all prepared. Hopefully we'll all pass the test. But again, the certification, the exam is not part of this cohort. And it does, you don't have to take the exam to get your 25 STEM hours. Okay. So we're going to go into the units now, and I'm just going to talk about the upcoming units and what we're kind of focused on to really frame this. If you haven't completed unit 1, definitely go and complete it. It's a good warm up. Unit 2, you start getting into the meat of things. Unit 2 is about expanding your access to help and learning. I learn so much when I go through these. Like I really do. There are some things where you think about it and you're like, wow, I never thought about using that way in my classroom, right? I never thought of, I've used YouTube videos in my classroom, but I never thought about getting my students to build a Google website and posting YouTube videos to that Google website that, describe a current event. So there's really awesome things in there. These are the main skills you need to make sure you get through unit 2. And this is really important. And Darcy, she's going to go over module 3, and she's actually going to show you on the Canvas course. We've actually created a checklist, but it's really, really important that you go through these skills checklist as you're going through the unit. So don't just go through the unit, complete the test and say, hey, I'm good. You want to make sure, do you know how to do all of these? Because on the test, these are the skills that could be tested. Okay, so you just want to make sure you cover all of that. Darcy, you want to take it from here?
Yes. So in the different modules, you'll see there's a list of those skills. I'm going to share my screen real quick. In the Canvas course, you'll see down at the bottom, I'm going to leave student view and go to the bottom, and it'll be posted today. Down at the bottom, It's additional resources. If you look at this Google certification level 1 checklist, I went through each and every one of the modules, and this link is embedded in the Canvas course. You are free to make a copy of this document so that you can make check marks and make notes and do whatever you want to on it. But it has each of the modules and the units, and then the individual subsections and the skills that you should be able to do on your own after that module. So unit 1 is really the exploring the impact of technology and setting kind of your classroom goals. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that myself. Tools available in the Google Workspace for education. You should be able to know those tools, which ones are in Google Workspace for education, which ones are associated. There's a difference. You should be able to know those by heart. You know, YouTube is not part of the Google Workspace for education, but it is associated with Google. So those kind of things, and it'll give you some questions to kind of focus your learning in each of the units. So here's unit 2, really going to talk about Google for Education certified trainers. Hey, that's going to be, hopefully, after you take the certified level 1 teacher exam, you can do level 2, and then you can apply to be a trainer. And so that's that next level up. So it talks about the different levels of Google certification. And then unit 3 really starts diving into the applications. So we're going to talk about how to organize Drive, dive into that. And boy, when I worked through this, again, this is one of those things where while you're going through those modules, take it to heart and actually do what they say. I actually have my Google Drive organized for the first time in 5 years because I went through and I could, oh yeah, I could do that and I could do that. Take some time to actually do it. You'll get some benefit from it. So these are all the different skills. Creating a Google document, and this is very beginning, but it'll walk you all the way through it. And then an introduction into Google Forms. So these are the things we're going to be talking about: Google Docs, Google Forms, and Google Drive in Unit 3. So those are the areas where we can start having some of those discussions. But this document, as we go through, you may see me update the date. So if you make a copy, just remember that those new updates won't show up on your copy. So you're free to make a copy. I would wait until later on as we get closer to the test to actually do that, so then you can test yourself on some of those skills. But I went through each and every one of those modules. This is set up, so if you want to work ahead, go ahead and work right ahead. But you can work along right side with us and ask your questions when we come back to our meeting next Thursday. Couple of questions in the chat. Why is Google Cert taken so seriously? You know, I'm not Google. So I think it's just one of those things that to get that badge on your email, they want to make sure that everybody's doing the same thing, that they're not, that it's legitimate. And so some of these things you're like, okay, yeah, I know how to do this, but they want to make sure that it's actually, when you say you're a level 1 educator, you actually do have those skills.
And it's really for the progression for level 1, level 2, and then to be a trainer. So all of them have that same kind of structure. So I guess that's why the first one is so serious. I'm also getting a question too here, Darcy, that you could help answer is, how do I make sure I am signed into Canvas? My password is not working. So if you can't, if your password is not working in Canvas, you can always do the forget password, but make sure you see that logo in the top left-hand corner, because you might be logging into your Canvas, your district's Canvas, and you'll see your school logos up here or something like that. You need to be logged into our WAESD coordinators Canvas.
Yeah, you'll see here, I have Canvas login number 1, Canvas login number 2, Canvas login number 3. This is the one, you want to see that green circle in there. So that's the one that you want to have access to. And if you're having trouble with that, just shoot me an email and I can walk you through it too.
And if you sign into the PD Enroller, we have your email, and that's the email we're using to onboard you on the Canvas. And what should happen is you should get an email from Canvas that says you've been enrolled in a new course. And when you click that, it will actually take you, it will ask you to log in, and you just log in with your normal information. It will have this logo in the top left-hand corner that you see on Darcy's screen. And then when you go in, you'll see a top banner at the very top, and you have to accept enroll into course in, Google Certification 1.
And that, Ethan, you brought up something really quick. When I went ahead and enrolled some of you today, some of the emails were your personal emails, not school emails. So make sure that you're checking that it's the PD Enroller email that we use to enroll you in the course. That's something to be taken pretty, that's something that you need to make sure that you do. So a couple questions. When I took certification before, I had a hard time with Google Sheets. I've never had Excel training, know nothing about formulas. Awesome. You know what? We will be covering that. We will be doing some work with Google Sheets. That is, I think, when we get into Google Sheets is more along, it's in the later modules, and that's okay. Bianca, can you send me the email that you want me to enroll you in? I will go ahead and just send you another enrollment. So just put that in the chat, please. But we will definitely be doing sheets, and that's where some of this is. Next time, we will spend not so much time on the logistics of the course, but actually probably dividing into a couple of groups where Ethan will take a group and I'll take a group, and we'll work through some of those questions that you have. Maybe Ethan can take the Google Forms and I can take the Google Docs and really dive into more specifics about those particular programs. Does that sound like a plan, Ethan?
Absolutely. And again,
Okay.
that's why the Canvas course is so important, because that pre-session questions and the post-session questions is really what we're going to use to kind of, as our data, to figure out, okay, what do we need to kind of structure our 1 hour together. Nancy, go ahead.
On my Canvas, I see module 1, session 1, and module 8.
Yes, and so you will see module 2 after you complete module 1, and after you've finished saying all of that, we will open up module 2, and that's how you'll all see it. You'll see module 1, then module 2 will open up module 3. If you notice, they're not published right now.
Okay.
Are you publishing them all, Darcy?
I'm publishing them all right now so you can see them.
Okay, so then.
And the recordings will show up after the sessions.
Yeah, John, that Google Doc is right where her screen is right now at that additional resources. So you'll just
Google Certification Level 1 checklist. Absolutely. I'm going to stop sharing. Ethan, are there anything else? Any other? We want to answer questions before we send you off to work on those units 1, 2, and 3. So this is that time to ask questions, and make sure that we get the logistics going before we dive in any further.
Yeah, there's 3 components of this cohort: Canvas, the awesome fundamentals course, and then these hour weekly sessions, right? And when we tie them all together, that we can really get good at this, get all of our question answers, go together, and then be prepared for the test. Yeah, Lori, go ahead.
I've taken this course before, self-guided, and did not pass the test. And what makes this STEM? That wasn't STEM before.
So as we go through, we're going to be working on making those ties to, you'll see that unit 1 is those ties to 21st century work skills. So one of the things with STEM is talking about those school to work transitions and how we do that. We're also going to be showing examples from math and science and some of those STEM related disciplines as we go through the course. So as we go through, that's where these sessions will help fulfill that STEM requirement.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead, Kimberly.
You had mentioned before that, so the 22 clock hours, 7 of them come from the video sessions and the rest of the clock hours come from, and I forgot what that last rest of that was.
So 7 of them come from these live sessions, right? That are also recorded. The 15 come from completing those 13 units. So if you looked at when you sign up to the fundamentals, I think they say it's 15.1 hours, but we just said, hey, we're going to round it down. We'll say we'll give them 15 hours if they complete all 13 units.
Okay.
We got approval to take the fundamentals course and count it as clock hours.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Are there any more questions? We went over the logistics. Next week, we'll not be going over the logistics. We'll assume, hey, you're in Canvas, you've completed unit 1, 2, 3, and we're really going to dive in to getting this down. Because Lori, you completed the 13, the fundamentals, right?
Yeah, I did.
And then when you took the test, you struggled on the test?
Yeah, because it took a lot of time. I didn't know my way. I knew some of the answers, but I didn't know my way around it.
Okay.
So I did lousy because I couldn't manage my time.
Gotcha. And so those are the discussions that we want to have. We might even have some guest speakers come into some of these sessions of just people who've passed the test and just kind of given their perspectives about it. But again, you know, I just talked to Andrew, and Andrew just got his certification, and he goes, mine was difficult because they asked me a bunch of questions about Google Blogs, and I don't use Google Blogs, right? He goes, but luckily I knew it. I had taken the course. And so the other big thing is, like, you know, if you study on your own and you do a study guide, sometimes you just pass stuff, right? And sometimes you miss stuff. And this cohort, hopefully we can get all those gaps and just feel really, really confident when we take that test. And we're going to slide in tips and resources and cheat sheets and, you know, outside third-party resources as much as possible to get you as prepared as possible for the exam.
And at that last module in the Canvas course, where it says additional resources, that's where additional things will be put as we come through. So we may have, somebody may say, hey, I've got this great, I've found some tips for working with, I'm just going to pick on the Google Blogs, the blogger. Can I put it in the Canvas course? Yeah, share it with me and we'll put it in there. So then we all have access to these resources that we're working with. That's what this cohort is for. So I am excited to, work with you and go through this process.
Yeah, and this is
looking forward to it.
Complete unit 2 and 3. Make sure, if you haven't completed unit 1, obviously do that as well. By next week's meeting, that's what we're going to be discussing. Log into Canvas, record any questions that you might have. That's going to be huge because that will kind of allow us to prepare, and we'll post those questions in next week's session. And then other than that, we're not going to ever have surveys at the end of this. You will have a big survey at the end, you know, in our last session. And then you will have a survey and a form to do on the to get your clock hours and all that, and an attestation to, claim, yes, I did complete XYZ, and you'll post pictures to document that you've completed, the 13 units. So we'll get to all of that when we get to that, and you can see that in the Canvas course. But if that's all, I think we're all good here, right, Darcy?
Yeah, Ethan, I'm getting some messages about sign-ins for today. So what we'll do is we'll pull a report of who was at this session. We'll pull a Zoom report for attendance for this one. And then we've got some questions on how we want to, we've got to work with another entity on how we want to do the attendance. So next week there may be a little bit different, but for this one, we'll just pull the Zoom report for attendance. But Ethan and I will stick around for a second, for a few minutes. If you have individual questions, if you're having trouble with Canvas or getting in there, but we'll stick around for a few minutes, and looking forward to working with you.
I have one last question.
Yeah, Nancy.
I'm looking at the Google sign-in that you guys had us do in the very beginning to the skill shop. The units that are in, okay, so we're going to complete all of those units in that one as well as the modules on Canvas.
Yeah, so the modules on Canvas are just like, if you go through them, they're all repeating. And so the modules are just, each session has one module to it. And we're saying, hey, we're covering these 2 units. Do you have any pre-session questions? Then you'll notice there will be a recording, right, where you can access the recording in the slide deck. And then the last part of the module, the 4th page in the module, will be, hey, did you have any discussion questions after that session? Did anything come to mind? Did we talk about anything that you want to share about? So that Canvas course is just going to be where we host all the documents that we talk about in this live course. But
there's no additional work in the Canvas course.
Exactly. There's no additional work in the Canvas course. What you need to complete is the 13 units.
Okay, the skills.
Yeah,
just the skill shop. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any questions whatsoever, feel free to unmute yourself, ask them. If not, you all have a great Thursday. Have fun.
And I just want to clarify. I felt like I knew where I was, and then after I was listening longer, I thought, no, maybe I'm not doing this right. So I'm in where the little green flower is in the upper corner.
Yes.
And then I've got module 1, welcome and logistics. So I'm going to do all of this today, as well as session 2 and 3.
No.
Yeah, so nothing in those modules, there's no required work there. Right?
Okay.
So they guide this. If you have any questions, like, hey, I'm doing unit 2 to prepare for next week, right? And a question comes up, then you would go to module 2 where you see unit 2, unit 3, right? For session 2, you go to module 2, you'd open that up, you'd go to those pre-session questions, and then you'd say, hey, I'm really struggling here. In unit 2, they asked this, but I'm not understanding this. And then when we do this live session, you might have another teacher answer it on the Canvas course and you'll get a notification. Or when we come to the live session, we'll make sure we address all those questions.
Angel, I think this is where the confusion is. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So you're in Canvas right now.
Yeah. So I need to go down to the modules.
Okay. So there's 2 different things. You've got the Canvas course.
Okay.
And then you have the fundamentals training course. These 2 are separate.
Okay.
So the Canvas course is where we're going to host. This is where we'll put the recording of this session today.
Okay.
This is where we can ask questions.
Okay.
But the actual work that you're going to do to learn more about Google is on this fundamentals training site.
Oh, the skill shop would. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where you're going to spend the majority of your time.
Okay. Thank you.
So when we're talking about unit 1 and 2, that's these. So before next week, you're going to do unit 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll be talking about session 2 is unit 2 and 3.
Okay. I think I've got it.
Okay. I was following you. I'm going, I know where she's having trouble here.
Yeah. Okay. I understand now. Okay.
Okay,
There's 2
awesome.
separate All different units, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be in the skill shop one, doing units 1 through 3.
Yes,
For
that's
next-
where you're gonna spend your time.
Okay,
It's just like a course. It's like a course. This is our Canvas course, right? But really, like, our assignment is this big Google fundamentals.
okay, great. Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
See you next time.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have a question. You guys may not be able to give me the answer on this one. I haven't decided yet if I'm taking the final test at the end, and a lot of that depends on my anxiety level when I get there. I do have test taking anxiety, and so typically, even when I got my teaching credential, there's provisions in place, kind of like, an IEP almost, that I get like time and a half. Obviously, all this is a place away from home. Well, that's out of a different school building. Do you know if the Google company or whoever's initiating this test has that ability to extend the time should I choose to take it, or is it a solid set 2 hours?
Okay. I can't give you a full answer, but this is what I do know. I think they give you 3 hours to take the test. It's not designed to take 3 hours.
Okay.
It's designed to take about 2 hours, but you have 3 hours to finish it. I do not know if they have, I would assume that they have some accommodations in place. However, I have not looked into that. I have a couple of people I could reach out to see if they have any answers. But I think that's a really good, legitimate question. And I think that's one that I'd like to research and see if I can find a more specific answer for you.
That'd be helpful. I haven't decided. I haven't had to take a test since I got my credential back in 13. So I'm like, you guys said test 2 hours. I immediately went like, okay, breathe. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just
And-
really like homework. I'm great. Planning classwork. I'm great. You put me down to take a test. I'm like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So
and that's
that
one
would
of
be
those
helpful.
things-
And
Yeah, that's one of those things where when I say practice the things that are in there, that's where you just get that muscle memory and you start thinking about, okay, I'm just going to do what I normally do when I'm working in Google. However, I do understand the test anxiety. Again, let me reach out to a couple of people that I know, and then if they don't give me an answer, then maybe we can pursue it in another way.
okay, thank
I'd
you.
like to have that answer for you.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right. Any other questions?
Kelly, yeah, as long as, I have complete, Kelly, can you explain what you meant by that? I'm sorry. Sorry, Kelly, and I'm looking at the chat too. Right now, I mean, nothing's current. As long as you're logged into the Canvas course, you're good. The biggest thing is that next week, we're going to be going over Unit 2 and Unit 3. So that's going to be the priority, is during this time, between now and next Thursday, that you complete Canvas introduce questions. Yes, if you don't have a pre-session question, you don't have to ask it. You don't have to fill that out. If you don't have a post-session question, you don't have to fill that out. The Canvas course is literally just there to be there so we can have an asynchronous community. We can upload documents, we can upload the videos, upload the slideshow. We can have discussion questions if we need. But really the heart of it is this live session and then the fundamentals, the 13 units, which is hosted on Google.
My question's kind of odd. I have surgery on Monday and I'm hoping it won't interfere with me being able to take this class. On the off chance that I am incapable of being in class on Thursday, will that be a problem if I just watch the recording of it?
Nope.
Okay.
That's how it's intended.
Perfect. That's kind of what I was hoping. There'd be some, yeah, that would work. Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, Ethan, I'm going to go ahead and put the slide deck into module 1.
Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording since we don't
Okay.
have questions.
All right.